Welcome to the Scratch Video Game Design Series. I'm Mr. Pierce, or the Wild Wizard, and we are going to be working on a platform jumping game. Every week I'll be releasing a video, taking you another step along the way to designing your own platform jumper. Alright, let's get into it. Okay, let's make a platform jumping game. Now, why a platform jumping game? Probably because that's the most common thing my students always make, and I have the most experience debugging it, and also I grew up on these kind of games. I do enjoy platform jumpers, playing Super Mario, all the other classics when I was a kid. It just seems like the obvious first thing when you're making a game. Now, one thing is that I am not going to be showing you guys the basics, so I'll expect you to kind of go onto tutorials right up here and explore, and really the best way of learning Scratch outside of these tutorials is just mess around with it, just kind of play around with it, but learn the basics, and then when you're ready to make a platform jumper, these videos are here for you. So with that being said, let's get into it. The first thing that we want to concern ourselves with is the name of our game. Now for me, I've been working on a game called Cat Jumper for a while, and I want to switch it up and I want to go a different direction. So I'm going to work on a game now called Dog Jumper. So there you go. I would say I'd recommend to you go ahead and once you come up with your name to go to File and save it to your computer right away and save it regularly. Don't mess around with that. I've seen a lot of students who would save their game and then not save it often enough and have a big problem that they couldn't go back on, or they saved it and they didn't pay attention to where the computer was saving it. So make sure you do pay attention to that and you see that it's going to be saved on your desktop or wherever. So if I'm making a game called Dog Jumper, I should probably get rid of this cat. So the cat is over here in my sprites. This is the sprites are your characters or anything that really can be associated with code. And I'm going to go here and I'm going to choose a sprite. You can paint one, do a few different things there. I'm going to go ahead and choose one. All right, I probably spent way too much time flipping through these, but one of the neat things they have is that if you hover over these sprites, they will show you all the costumes animated together. So some of these are just going to be a single image of whatever, like maybe this button, for example. But like Scratch Cat, the Scratch Cat comes with two costumes. So if you go back and forth with those two costumes, it makes it look like he's walking. It's an animation. So Scratch calls those different animations costumes. So we can see that this guy here, he has two costumes. This guy has, well, I don't know, like maybe 3 or 4 different costumes. So that's something that you can kind of look at. And once you have them, you can choose what order to do them in. So looking through all this, while I do like the dinosaur, I like the basic walk of this dog and also that little peculiar look he makes. I think that's going to be pretty useful. So I'm going to go ahead and grab that. And I don't need the cat anymore. Maybe you want the cat, maybe you want to keep him, but a real simple way to get rid of them, you can just X out of them right there with the left click button, get rid of that cat. And now I want to pick a backdrop, and I can make my own backdrop, but I can also pick one that might help me do some simple things. Step number 1, after you pick your character, is think about how you want your character to move around its environment. Because it's going to be a platform jumper, my character is going to need to move right and left, and he's going to need to be able to probably jump and then fall with gravity. So I need to think about how am I going to make gravity work. And within the world of Scratch, there's again many ways of doing this, but I'm going to use a real simple way of doing it. I'm going to say, is he touching a particular color? So we could make a floor, say brown, and anytime he's touching brown, he will stop falling. So with that being said, I can go ahead, I'm going to choose a backdrop. I can make one, but blue sky is a really good one for testing out your game sort of physics, if you will. So now I have this very flat, solid line right here of a particular color, and I'll be able to use that so that my dog will sort of interact with it and walk along the bottom. And if he jumps and then he falls, he'll stop when he gets onto that right there. So this is the beginning of our game right here. I think this is where I'll stop this first video. In the next video, we're going to go into how to actually code the dog so that he can move around and move on from there.